So good afternoon. Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Rodewald, the Voter Services Director for the League of Women Voters of San Luis Obispo County, and I want to welcome you to our very first Lunch with the League. Joining me is Glenn Silloway, a member of our Board of Directors and also a member of the Centennial Committee, which took on the task of celebrating the 100th anniversary of the formation of the League of Women Voters and also commemorating the anniversary of the 19th Amendment. For those of you unfamiliar with the League, we are a nonpartisan organization, which means we do not support or oppose political parties or candidates. Our mission is to protect the right to vote and encourage civic engagement. As the late John Lewis said, the vote is the most important nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. For this election, our message is register, learn, vote, to encourage our citizens to participate in this most basic and most important right. To that end, we will be convening each Monday until Election Day on November 3rd to bring you insightful information and conversations about this election, how you can best prepare for the changes in voting, and we hope you will join us on this journey. This week, we are focusing first on the anniversary of the 19th Amendment, and then we will provide a high-level view of what's coming for the November 3rd election. First, a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature to submit them. We do have a lot of information to impart today, but we'll try to answer any questions that are submitted. We also ask for your patience in this, our very first webinar. I am sure it will not be as polished and seamless as we would like, but we are certainly keeping our fingers crossed. It will also be available on our website and Facebook for you to watch later. So now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Glenn.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here. I'm representing the Centennial Celebrations Committee. That was co-chairs of that committee were Janice Carr and Julianne McAdam. And my fellow members were Patty Dale and Ruth Nima and Wilda Rosine. So the six of us have been working on this now for about a year and a half. It seems like at least that long. And there's been a lot of activity. We've done a lot of things. So today I had planned to show you a short video with some clips and some photos and take you through the story of women's struggle for the right to vote. But it didn't quite work out. The video has a significant flaw in it. So that's coming. We're going to put it on our website when we fix it. But for right now, I'm going to share the screen and take you through a short PowerPoint presentation on some highlights of our year. And this might be a little clunky, so hang on. Hopefully now you're seeing a slide. Yes?
Yes.
Women's Suffrage Centennial Year. This was a big event in our lives. It started, I think the first date we're looking at here is for the year is the November 1. No, that would be, well, we'll go through it. I'm going to take you first to 1896. Women worked for 70 plus years to win the right to vote. And that took an awful lot of organizing. And sometimes we think of, or at least I used to think of the women's suffrage movement as happening kind of on the East Coast. You know, you see pictures of New York and places like that. Well, this image on the screen right here was a group of women headed by Susan B. Anthony, the famous Susan B., who came here to San Luis Obispo in 1896. They were running a campaign for suffrage in 1896 that drew crack organizers from all around the country. Harriet May Mills, who was one of those, almost lived in SLO for several months leading up to the vote. There's a pretty well substantiated story that she actually accosted vacation goers on the beach in Morro Bay to talk up the suffrage story. And given how tough she was, I do believe it. So we didn't quite make it that year, but San Luis Obispo County did vote for suffrage in 1896 by 54%. So we have a tradition of supporting it. And I'm happy to say that we did that. Women persisted, as they do. And in 1911, a follow-up campaign occurred and was successful. So California became the 6th state to vote for suffrage. Call your attention to this little marketing thing here. Give your girl an equal chance with your boy. And a lot of that campaign, women were getting really media savvy by this time. They knew that they had to find a way to sell it to men to vote for women to have the vote. And as you might guess, that was not always an easy thing to do. People don't like to give up what they conceive of as their power or privilege. So they had to do this the right way. There was a touring car labeled Votes for Women in 1911 that went all over the state. They were using new technology and new methods to reach people. So good on them. Final success in 1919, June 4th, 1919, Congress passed the suffrage amendment and sent it to the states for ratification. We marked this day here in San Luis Obispo. If I could find my cursor there. This was a proclamation issued by the Board of Supervisors to us on June 4th last year. And that's a whole bunch of our members in front of the soups getting that proclamation, noting the passage of the amendment. After the passage of the amendment, California was actually one of the early states to ratify it, November 1, 1919. This was a date that we marked with a big celebration at the Women's Club. It was a co-sponsored event with them. We had a nice crowd and some displays here. There's the resolution from the board and some description of the 19th Amendment. This was our first major presentation, but only the first of many. We did, I don't know how many presentations, probably more than a dozen during the year to different groups and different venues. Julianne McAdam has gotten very good at doing Zoom meetings to give presentations. Maybe she should be here today, but she isn't, so. In February, we marked the 100th anniversary of the founding of the League of Women Voters. This is obviously before and now. So February 14th, 1920 was the actual date. Carrie Chapman Catt, who was the leader of the National American Woman Suffrage Association, founded or co-founded with helpers, founded the League as a way to finish the fight, were her words. And this, her speech in 1920 was fairly prescient in determining how we as a League are. She insisted it should be nonpartisan, but still involved. We work on policies and we promote those policies. We don't just sit back and let everything happen. We're advocates for certain policies, but we don't support any political party or any candidate. To mark that event, we had a luncheon on February 22nd that featured the woman in the middle is Dr. Carolyn Jefferson Jenkins. She is on the faculty at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. She's flanked here by Stephen and Cheryl Vines, who are the leaders of the San Luis Obispo NAACP. And the night, Carolyn called her talk to finish the fight. She's echoing Carrie Chapman Catt, who she refers to as a complicated woman, because the history of race and the League is a complicated one. We haven't always been on the good side of things, but it's getting better, as witness the fact that Carolyn was the first president of the League of Women Voters in the United States, first woman of color. And and now Dr. Turner, our second woman of color who is president, was recently elected to the league. So progress is slow, but we are making some. That same event, this is a group of young people, the 8th graders, who wrote essays on why they want to vote or why the vote is important. And these are some of the winners who attended our event along with 180 other people. So it was a nice event. This is your Centennial Celebrations Committee, except for Representative Carbajal in the middle, and celebrating being done with this, I guess. So to get back to the timeline, Tennessee completed ratification of the 19th Amendment on August 18th, 1920. People sometimes get confused about which one really made it happen. The ratification process ended here when Tennessee became the 36th state to approve it by one vote. This young man here on the left was a legislator, and the story goes that he found a note in his pocket from his mom on the right there, who urged him to honor women and vote for the amendment. He had not intended to. He was on the no camp until she got to him. Thanks, Mom. 8 days later, the amendment was actually certified by the Secretary of State Colby, and that's when it became part of the Constitution. So that is actually, in my mind, the day when we say women won the vote, because it wasn't effective until that day. And here's the celebrants, and we're contributing a little bit to this celebration with this. This is a banner that is going up today. I haven't seen it, but I assume it's there today at Choro and Higuera. The Community Foundation is listed as a sponsor. Thank you very much for your help in all this. And I urge you all to go down and see it. I'd love to see your photo, get somebody to take a photo of you under the banner and send it in to me. I'd like to collect a bunch of those so we know that people saw it. But it does signify something important. We are honoring the women who went before us and won the vote, but I think the key message on here is register and vote. Because if the league is anything, what it ought to be doing is creating citizens, educating them, getting them to vote. So that's really the message that we want to take out of this year. Honor those for registering and voting. Next week at this time, and you're going to hear this from Julie and probably several times, we're going to have the second installment of Lunch with the League. Elections depend on you. At this point, I think it's just Julie. You can correct me when you get a chance, but we may have other presenters. We're going to do more aggressive promotion with this now that we've got one under our belt. We're beginning to figure out how this works. But you can put it on your calendar right now, noon next Monday. Elections depend on you. So with that, I'll just say thank you for your support of the league. We appreciate it. If you have questions, you can send it to the info at League of Women Voters SLO or voter service at lwvslo.org. And we look forward to hearing from you and to your participation in the league. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't quite ready for Glenn to finish there, but I'm getting there. So now, and so if anybody again has any questions, please submit them through the Q&A. I'm now going to give you a short overview of what to expect in this election, which will be very different from any elections that we've had in the past. So hang on with me here while I share my screen and get things going. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So November 3rd is Election Day. How will we vote in San Luis County and in California on Election Day? So the big concern is preserving the public health in the face of COVID-19. And the November election is accessible, secure, and safe. So to that end, every registered voter will receive a vote by mail ballot prior to Election Day. And when I say registered voter, I mean active registered voter. Those ballots will be mailed between October 1st and October 3rd, where the county clerk is saying they're promising October 1st, but I know how printing deadlines are. It should be in that timeline sometime. New registrations or changes that come in after about mid-September, they will be mailed a ballot within 5 days of receipt of their registration. So if somebody moves to the county and registers, they're going to see a ballot in their mailbox within about 5 days of receipt of that registration. That first mailing, or that mailing that everybody receives, will have a ballot, an envelope to return the vote by mail ballot, and also the San Luis Obispo County voter information booklet, which contains local measures, local candidate statements, where you can drop off your vote by mail ballot, all the information that's pertinent to this election. And it's really important to note that voters can track their ballots. There's a system that allows voters to track their ballots from the time that they get put into the mail stream until the time that they get back to the county clerk's office and are accepted for counting. And we'll talk about that a little bit more and give you a website that you can sign up for that service. So what are your options for returning the ballot? You can return it by mail, and postage is paid by the county. That ballot must be postmarked by Election Day and received by November 17th. That's a huge change. It used to be that ballots had to be received within 3 days of the election. Now that's extended to November 17th to allow for any delays, particularly for those that are coming from our overseas or military voters, to allow their ballots to be accepted and counted. Now, I know that we're hearing a lot about the Postal Service and, not trusting it. Are they really going to get it back in time? Certainly, if you're going to mail your ballot, mail it early. If you're getting close to Election Day, make sure you take it into the post office and make sure it gets a postmark on it. And again, sign up for the ballot tracking so you can make sure that it's actually been received. But you can also return your vote by mail ballot at a designated secure drop box. And those will be open beginning October 6th through 8 o'clock on November 3rd. Fortunately, the libraries in our county are allowing the use of the secure book return slots for mail drop boxes. So if you're in Los Osos, if you're Morro Bay, San Luis, Shandon, wherever there's a library, you can drop off your vote by mail ballot into the book return slot. And those are secure. They'll be taken out of separated from the books and then put into a ballot box, which the county staff will then pick up. And all locations will be posted on the website slovote.com and will also be available in the county information booklet. So what are your options for in-person voting? You can in-person vote at the county elections office beginning October 5th, and the county has 2 offices, one in Atascadero and the main one in San Luis. They're open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then they'll have extended hours on the 31st of October through Election Day. And then there are going to be voter services centers throughout the county. At this point, there's 20, I may have that wrong, there may be 21, but 20 to 21 sites around the county. And they'll be open starting Saturday, October 31st, Halloween. So I guess people can dress up and come down to vote. And through Monday, November 2nd, they'll be open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then on Tuesday, just like a regular election day on November 3rd, they'll be open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And at any of these sites, a voter can turn in a vote by mail ballot. They can actually vote right there. They can receive a replacement vote by mail ballot to take home with them and vote and get returned. They can complete a conditional voter registration, which means that they missed the deadline, so they didn't have an opportunity to register to vote or update their address. They can take care of that process at the voter services centers, and they can use a ballot marking device that allows voters with disabilities to vote. So what's the theme for this election? Vote by mail. We really want to encourage everybody, use that ballot that comes to you in the mail. It protects yourself and it protects our poll workers. And remember that there are multiple ways to return your voted ballot. But if it's not possible, then visit the elections office beginning October 5th or Voter Services Center October 31st through November 3rd. But the most important thing to get across is make sure you vote. However way you do it, make sure you vote. So next is our topic for next week, which is elections depend on you. So we're going to talk to you about what you can do to make sure that this election is a success. You see the county clerk's website, theslovote.com, and this will be in the chat too, if you need to write that down. And then if you have any questions or comments, any feedback for us, send that to voterservice@lwvslo.org, and that will get to me. And I just clicked out of there. And now I see a couple of things in Q&A. So Dorothy Hines asked if we could cover how to properly sign your ballot. And that is a topic that we're going to be covering in future elections. I mean, in future sessions. I don't have a copy of the envelope, but we'll make sure that we get one so that we can show everybody how to properly mark their ballot. And then there's one other, oh, it was just the same one. And then there's might be several in chat. There was a question and that I have to go find. It was for Glenn.
Oh.
And
about the color. Yeah.
Oh, he actually answered it in the chat.
Yeah, I
said, yeah. So yeah, if everybody saw that about why they were wearing white. And then there was another question about how to make sure that your envelope is not going to get thrown out. And that's what we'll talk about. It's coming in like about a week, 2 weeks maybe. And talk to you also about how to cure any problems that you might have with your ballot, because you will be notified by the county elections office if there's a problem with your ballot. So we'll talk about how you cure anything that there's a problem with.
I have a quick question, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get a vote by mail in the mail, and you will because everybody will, but you want to vote in person, should you take it with you?
Yeah, it's interesting with the, ideally take it with you, you can surrender it. But with the way that our voter services centers are set up now, the people working them will have access to the county clerk's database. So they will be able to, even if you don't return your ballot, they'll be able to go in and cancel your original ballot and reissue you another one, either one that you're going to vote in person there or one that you're going to take home with you to vote and return by November 3rd.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad to hear that, because I had thought that someone would have to cast a provisional ballot, and you just made it clear you don't. You can still vote on the spot.
Right. That was the way that it used to be. If you didn't have your ballot to surrender, you'd have to vote provisionally. But now with the tools that they have at the polling place, you won't have to do that.
Cool. Okay.
So did we have any other questions before we sign off? Yeah, so one question is, will you talk about in the future about how and where to check your registration? Yes, that's part of next week's, but you can go to theslovote.com. We'll just tell you this right now, you'll hear it again next week. Go to slowvote.com and click on the November 3rd election, and it's got a link to check your status. It's got a link to track your ballot, and it's got a link to online voter registration. So it's a great resource for that kind of one-stop shopping.
And I'd just like to add that all 10 of these coming topics will be listed on our website. And as we get recordings from these events, we'll be posting them so that you can go back and see them or share them with other people. And it would be really nice if you are not already a friend of our Facebook page, do that, because we're live streaming this at Facebook at the same time. It may or may not be better for you, but you can share it. And part of the idea is to get this information out to a lot of people. We're trying to touch many voters and potential voters to get them to participate and know how to do that this year with so many changes.
There was also a question that came up in chat about, is Glenn's PowerPoint available online? We'll make both of the PowerPoints available online. There's a Vote 2020 page on the League's website, and we'll make everything available there.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It was kind of fun talking to you, and I can't see you, but we know you're out there, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. See you again next week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.